welcome to episode number 7 of our Princeton Makes podcast. I am your host, Zohar Lavi-Hasson, and today we have Spriha here. Hi, Spriha.
Hi.
We are recording at Princeton Makes. Princeton Makes is an artist cooperative, and we are located at the Princeton Shopping Center. We are about 30 artists. Some of us have studios here on site. And I say this every time because maybe somebody new comes. But also what's exciting is this week we're going through some renovations and we're going to add studios. So it's going to be more of like a space to see artists at work and then also a store. So Spriha is the artist of the month here at Princeton Makes, which means she's going to have some work at the window. And she's going to have an artist talk. So first of all, maybe tell us, when is the artist talk?
The artist talk is on the 21st of April from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And I hope you guys will join us here. It's good fun. It's a good way to meet the artist, learn about her process and what it takes to create the paintings that she does. Plus you get to meet the other artists who are attending and have some good food along with that.
I wanted to say food too.
Yes, food and wine or nice drinks.
Yes. So today Spriha is going to actually take us through her journey of becoming an artist. But before that, can you tell us what kind of art do you make?
I'm a mixed media artist, and I like to add the word texture to it because I think the uniqueness of my works are the textures that I use in my pieces. So also sometimes I like to call myself a narrative mixed media artist because each piece that I create has a story behind it and why I created. It always flows from within, but there's a story that you can find in each of the pieces.
All right, so how did it all start?
How did it all start? Well, to begin with, I would say I've always been surrounded by the arts, interested in the arts as a child. I've been a part of musicals and I've sung, I have danced, I have been part of painting competitions. I think I was always surrounded by this in my family.
Where were you born?
I was born in India, in New Delhi, and I did my education there, and all of my growing up has been in India, but we moved here to the United States in 2002.
Okay.
So before I moved here, of course, I never pursued art in school or in college. It was just something that I did for fun. I did go into television, where I worked for about 8 years, and I think that gave me a great sense of what I learned from it was an eye for detail, for color, for movement, for sound, because that's something that you just learn intrinsically. You absorb all of that into your system. And I didn't know if that would be a foundational, part to my going on the artist journey, but that's something which was a strong part of me.
So what kind of work did you do on television?
A little bit of everything. I was a production person, so I was behind the camera, in front of the camera, producing, short segments, as well as directing. So it was a little bit of everything. And at the end, I was actually in charge of a bureau where we were producing news and short documentary kind of thing. So it was a lot of fun, but a lot of stress.
Where was that?
This was again in India. The office was based in New Delhi. And then once I got married, we moved to the south of India for 2 years, moved to the United States, where I took a break. I had us from work. I was like, I just want to enjoy my kids. So I was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah. Where did you come?
Well, I came into Delaware, and then we came to New Jersey, and we stayed here for about 9 months, and then we moved back to Delaware. So most of the time was in Delaware, and then we moved to New Jersey again in 2015. So I never did art for art's sake, but I always was very innovative and creative when it came to my birthdays. Kids' birthday parties and stuff, I would actually paint things, like even the balloons, all of that stuff. I used to paint them myself and stick them on the, in the basement. I even made Tag the shark. So I painted the shark and the tail and things like that. So I used to always be very innovative about doing things. I just didn't want to go to the store and buy things.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of stayed with me.
I feel like so many artists' mom just...
it gets
show
exhausting, Halloween costumes, always innovating things that you can make at home, and how you don't want to spend a ton of money and be creative, and also learn, teach that to the kids that you don't have to just go to the store and buy. You can be smart about it.
Of course, it takes a lot of your time.
It does. It's always that. But I think when the kids grew at a certain age, like when they were older, I felt like this is when I needed to find my voice and my identity and who I was about. It was not about, things that were thrust on me. Now this was a part of my life where I really wanted to find me.
Yeah.
And I think that's where my creative and actual artist journey started. And it was discovering, like, you know, I just took a random class. This was in Delaware, and that's where I first started using paper. And you know, I was amazed at what paper could do. And I think that's what led my, you know, into my interest of using different kinds of mediums. And at first I was extremely careful about what I did, but then I think as I got more comfortable, I just started experimenting and using things. But again, when I was in Delaware, I just made maybe 1 or 2 pieces at home, nothing big. But once I moved here to New Jersey, I would say that I seemed to have more time, and also the kids were older.
Yeah.
So that's when I really started spending time painting.
Yeah.
And creating. And I think the first push was when I was asked to be a part of a group, and we were going to do our first expo, and had never done that before. I'd never publicly shown my work. And when they invited me, I might have had like 2 pieces, and they said, no, you need to create some pieces, because it's going to be like, you know, you're going to have a table and you have to have show work. And so I think that's the first time I actually sat down and started painting, and I made maybe 7, 8 pieces. And it was fun, but that's how it all started. And then it's like slowly and steadily, it was like, okay, you get a little confidence and baby steps, and then you start exhibiting in a better, you know, a bigger space. And I think encouragement from people really helps. And because first you're just kind of doubtful and you're testing waters and you're not sure where you're going with this. But as people started appreciating what I was doing, they were happy, and I, you know, made sales. I think all of those kind of add to your confidence, and you want to start moving in that direction. So I started doing solo shows and group shows and juried shows, and every time it was like I started with something called the Second Life series, which is very close to my heart, because it's about giving second life to things around me, like flowers. And tree bark. So one of the first pieces I ever made was with orchids, real orchids. Yeah, because I had an orchid plant, and the orchid plants, when they start drying, they start falling off. And I just didn't want to like throw it. I wanted to do something with it. And that's how my first piece was created, by using those orchids. And I didn't know if it had a shelf life. I didn't know if it was going to survive, but I just wanted to make it, and I did. And
what did you do with them then?
I made a composition. I put it on canvas
flowers?
with the actual flower. Yes, I made a composition where I actually used tree bark, which I found lying outside while one of my walks. I picked that up, and I put that in, and I used the orchids in the piece, and I used different kinds of paper, and I made this composition, which if you come to my art show, my artist talk, you will be able to see, because I, you know, would want to share that.
And also we're going to put this on our show notes, a link to your work.
Okay, that would be awesome. Yeah, so the piece is called Allure. And it is in this very calming green background with white orchids. And so it's a very serene piece. And so that was one of the first pieces I made. And I made a very small one.
So you put those flowers, and what did you do so they don't like rot?
So the thing is that you have to use these flowers when they're still like a little soft or almost ready to die, and some of them have sort of, you know, they've lost their, what should I say, they're not alive anymore. They kind of dry out. So they're very delicate, so very fragile. So basically you have to try and dry them a little bit in some of them, and some of them as they are, like you have to use them with special archival glue. And I mean, first I paint the base, which is my acrylics paint. You know, I use that, I blend the colors, and then I create and I prepare the background like I want it to be. And then I place the flowers on it and see what kind of composition makes sense to me. And then I adhere these flowers to the canvas with this special glue. And I use a gel medium also to protect it. And after that, because it is organic, it will change over time. And then if it needs a fresh coat of gel medium or varnish or whatever, I mean, the thing is, it is organic. It is going to change over time, because if I were to preserve it like I've tried, you can put it into, you know, crystals and you dry it out and all of that. But I still feel like I like it when it's still a little soft to put on the canvas, because when it becomes really dry, it's very brittle and it's very easy to break. So you have to, you know, use it carefully. So that's how I started. And then I did that with roses, I did that with orchids, I made a few pieces, and then I realized that there was a little vulnerability to it. It was very fragile. So then I stopped making those pieces because I was like, if only somebody requests them, or if it's a commission piece, I'll make it, because it's a lot of work.
Right.
And I don't want to just make them and keep them. I've done that with ginkgo leaves too.
Yeah.
And, you know, people love ginkgo leaves. It's just what whoever connects with. I had made, I think, 3 pieces with the orchids, the big ones. I sold 2. And the third piece, which is the original piece, is mine, and it hangs in my house.
Not for sale.
Not for sale,
Okay.
no. So, but it's always, I bring it out, I share it with people, but I always say, if you want it, I'll, you know, make another piece like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that
so
started.
then, when are we talking about that you did those? You started with those?
This would be, I would say, in 2016, 2017. Like,
so that was kind of your start?
yes, that was my start, because I see, the thing is, when you're painting for yourself, you don't have any deadlines. You just create when you want to. But when you have a show that you have to put up your work on, then you have a little bit of pressure, and then you have to put. So I had my first.
Do you like the
show.
pressure?
Well, I think sometimes I like the pressure when it pushes me to create certain number of pieces, but sometimes it becomes like a pain. I don't like the pressure because I want to just paint when I feel like painting.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the process, right? I feel like that about marketing and business because I just want to paint and I don't want to get into the other side of things. But anyway, that was the beginning of the journey, and then I just started experimenting. I started collaging more, started using different materials. And so if you see my pieces, you'll see a huge range from the Second Life series to semi-abstracts to seascapes to landscapes to, you know, not too much abstract, but somewhat, some things. But a lot of my pieces have themes behind them. I've made pieces about how man's not an island, and, you know, you need community, you need people.
Yeah. So you started with the Second Life. How did your art develop from that?
Okay. So I would say that it was also sometimes that I would be making things, you know, connecting with things on separate levels. Sometimes I would be drawn in by different landscapes, and I wanted to see what textured landscapes would be like. I lost my father 1.5 years ago, and I was trying to deal with that in my own way, and I think I found a lot of calming in water. Okay. And I started making a lot of seascapes and waterscapes, and I think that gave me a completely new direction. I was initially very scared to work with water because I think it can be really tricky. Yeah. But I don't know how innately, as I started working through it, I felt like it was challenging, it was fun, but also very calming. Yeah. And that was like a whole other series that I started doing. So it is a lot of fun for me to do beach series now, because I love the textures that I can create with the sand, you know, the light, how it plays on the water.
So what medium do you use for that?
I still use acrylics, but I do use different mediums. Like I might use like coarse sand, I might use different textured papers. Yeah. I can also create something which looks like ragweed, you know, the weed that kind of, you know, they come through the water and you see them, kelp and things like that. So I try and create that to give you a feel that you're really in, you know, at the beach or at the shore. So that was another series I started working on. And then mostly I would say, if somebody asked me about my process, I would say it's a lot of layering. It's a lot of different papers. Like my medium, my background is always acrylic paints. Yeah. I start with that, and then depending on what I want to do, I use different kinds of papers to start layering. And as I start layering, then I will either put a little more paint on them or just collage with different kinds of paper, sometimes even fabric. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm experimenting, learning myself as I'm going through this, and I feel it's a journey. Yeah. You always, you know, learn every time you do something new. Yeah.
So you have nature and you have the sea and landscape, and and what are some other themes in your work?
There are themes that you know, relate to mental health, that relate to community, because after I felt like I had found my voice, I felt like my art needed to do more than just kind of be something that I was expressing. It needed to reach out to more people and to communities where they could connect And I started participating in shows like Art Against Racism, and then there was the Health and Wellness, which was hosted by the Hopewell Valley of Arts. I also did live painting for the Robert Wood Johnson Cancer Center, where people were getting infused while I was painting live, which was just a completely different feeling, because I had never done that. I was wearing a mic, I was talking to the patients while I was painting.
Wow, that's
amazing. It was an experience. It was like 90 degrees outside. But
it was outside too?
It was outside.
They
have a healing garden where you set up like you put a little canopy, and then you start painting and you're talking. So I had my back to the patients, but I was busy doing what I was doing. I was kind of in a trance. And they enjoyed the process, so it was something I'd never done before, but I loved it, and I think they enjoyed it too. So amazing. It's just like getting out there. I mean, I've done workshops with adopted kids, where they're grappling with new parents are grappling with the situation of having a completely new child that they've adopted. But I did like some mandala workshops. I did an identity tree workshop, and I'm going to do another workshop with blind people.
Wow.
Because I feel like, because my art is so textured, I always felt that it could be felt. I wanted somebody to be able to feel it and recreate something, whatever it meant to them, how important it was or not. So I'm looking forward to that workshop, because I went over to them, I showed some samples, I would say I took it around, people felt it, and they were really excited. And I will be doing that in June. So I just feel like the art has to be, for me, art has to be at two levels. One is for me, but also it has to be for community, where it's sending out a message.
So you feel like you need to give back to the community?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so there's one painting of yours. I love all your paintings, but one of them, I know you know that everybody loves it. The tree.
The tree.
The tree.
The tree of life.
Yes.
Oh.
You want to say something about the tree?
Yeah, of course. So that was a painting that I made for something. The theme was hope. And I made it for the, what was it? It was the Museum of Early Trade and Crafts, which is in Madison, New Jersey. It was a juried show, and we had to send out a sample. And I love that piece just because it's very happy, and it is a huge sign of hope. I mean, I was happy that it was chosen, and it was in the show. They put it up at the education center, and then somebody in Florida bought it.
Oh.
Yeah, and I wanted to share it, and that's why I made prints of it and I made cards, because I feel like it again takes us back to nature. So it's a very important part of Indian traditional folk art. It's called gone painting, where that folks who follow this, they respect nature in all forms. For them, the tree, animals, everything that's living is almost, it's like God for them. Because the harvest comes from the ground, the tree gives them shelter, gives them oxygen, all of that. So it's literally going back to your basics. And so that's one of the messages that I'm always trying to give through my nature series, is that we're surrounded by so much beauty, we take these things for granted, but we always need to remember that it's a gift. We have been gifted these things, and it's the least that we can do is respect it and take care of it. And so that's a strong message that comes through a lot of my paintings, and I'm thinking of making another one because I love it so much. I was thinking of making another painting on similar lines. But you'll see there are lots of patterns inside that, and when you're making it yourself, you learn that it's so relaxing. It's meditative almost, all the little, the dots and the lines. So,
do you feel like you have some influences or connections to your background, from India, or?
Yeah, I think I'm very strongly rooted, I would say, in my culture, and my use of color, I think, comes from our background being from India. Because the one thing I'm not scared of using is a lot of color. I would say most of my pieces, if you see them, they're like vibrant. There's lots of color. Actually, I have some pieces which are specifically created to Indian festivals. One is Diwali, the other one is Holi, which is the festival of colors. So yeah, I mean, I would see that it does come into my works. But you wouldn't see my piece and say, oh, she's Indian. But if you wanted to see that, you could find pieces in my work that would definitely scream, she's from India.
Once you know, then you're like,
once you know. Yeah, I guess my name would give that away. But yeah.
So can you tell us, how did you get here to Princeton Makes?
Sure. So I saw, I think, an ad for it on Instagram by one of the fellow artists, I think, and I was intrigued, and I did reach out to Jim, and I told him that I was interested, but I was very skeptical because I had never painted in a public space. And also it came at such a time in my life, I think that's exactly when I lost my father. So I was in a place where, I don't know, I was like in a state of flux, like I wasn't sure what I was going to do with myself because it was sudden. It was so sudden, and I couldn't go back home to visit him, so I was quite miserable. And I feel like this was meant to be. It just came, and it just happened. And I came here, I met Jim, and he was like, give it a shot. If you don't like it, you don't have to, but try it. And so I guess it was just that I tried it, and I love it. I love being here.
Yeah.
And I think the sense of community is really important, and you see it in live, in person, every day. It's a very lonely journey being an artist. You're by yourself with your thoughts all the time. So it's fun to be able to express, to share, to exchange ideas, and have opinions from other artists on what you're doing, and if you can change or improve. So yeah, I mean, I love being here and part of the co-op.
All right, so I think we are ready to do our little game of speed questions, in which I ask you questions and you have to answer in 1, 2 words, or if it's a sentence, I will take that.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Okay. What's your favorite artist of all time?
Georgia O'Keeffe. Yes, I love her sense of detail, her color, how she zooms into things, and I've tried to recreate some of her pieces through my textured works.
That's already so many sentences.
I know, 1 word, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, good. What is your favorite material to create with?
Paper.
What music do you like to listen to when you create?
It's a different music every time. It could be Indian, it could be classical, it could be Bollywood music, it could be just anything, yeah.
But always music?
Yes. I cannot listen to podcasts and things that I get distracted, yeah.
Okay. What is the space that you feel most creative in?
In the studio at Princeton Makes.
Yeah. What is your worst artistic nightmare?
That I can't paint. That I won't be able to paint anymore. Yes, that is my worst nightmare.
This is one that I just added. What would you say is the percentage of making art and dealing with everything around making art?
I would say 70% making art and 30% is the other stuff.
Wow, you're in a good place.
Yes, it is not my priority to do the other stuff. I mean, I know I should. And, I have to recheck stock and inventory and all of that stuff, and I kind of lag behind, and I keep pushing and say, well, I'll do it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if I had a choice, that is, how much I end up doing, I think it would be 70-30.
That's good. One word that describes how you feel when you create.
Calm, very happy. I know it's not one word. Let me see. Exhilarated.
Exhilarated. Okay. Thank you very much for coming and being here.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was a pleasure and fun talking to you.
And before we wrap up, can you give us your little business plug?
Sure. My website is my name, sprihagupta.com. And I have an Instagram handle, which is art_by_Spriha.
And this is going to be in the show notes.
Yeah, this will be in the show. And of course, I'd love to see you at the Artist Talk, which is on the 21st of April from 6:30 to 8. I also have my solo show at Small World, which is happening right now. You can come to Princeton Makes and see all my works.
Yeah. And see you too. And
yes, of course, and see me.
All right, so thank you so much again. Thank you for everyone who listened. Maybe we have like 20 listeners at this point. Unless you have a lot of friends and followers. We might have more.
Yes.
Thank you, RD, for the graphic design, and our theme music is by Renata Pugh. I'm Zohar Lavi-Hasson, producing this thing. And if you have any questions, any comments, or suggestions about the podcast or about Spriha's work and this specific episode, you can email princetonmakes@gmail.com. And also let us know if you want to be added to our mailing list. We have a lot of events happening. Rate and share this podcast if you can, so we can reach others to inspire them. And we are located at the Princeton Shopping Center in Princeton, New Jersey, and open Thursday to Sunday, 10 to 6. Come and see us in our new setup and support the local artists. I forgot to say we have Aya here as our audience member. Thank you and goodbye.